So as we say every time, we are going to do more of these.
You're listening to the Theology of Games podcast, your source for gaming news, reviews, and interviews with the top voices in the industry. Find us online at theologyofgames.com. And now, here are your hosts, Scott Firestone and Jeremiah Isley.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Theology of Games podcast. This is number 12.
Number 12.
And I'm Scott Firestone, and this is...
I am Jeremiah Isley. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. We couldn't believe that it's only been 12. Like, it seems like we've done more, and you look back now, we've only done 12 podcasts.
Yeah, we've been doing the podcast for years, very poorly and unpredictably.
It seems like about one a year, so, but it's been more than that, but not much more.
Not much more. So
as we say every time, we are going to do more of these.
We are.
You just wait, and we'll see you in a year for our episode 13.
Yeah, sometime around 2018, we'll get to episode 14. So it's been, well, this year particularly has been sort of a crazy year, and I looked back on iTunes, and we actually haven't posted an episode since January, and it's now mid-October. So we thought we'd take a minute and say, hey, guess what's going on? And this is why it's been sort of a long time since we've done any episodes. So you want to start us off, or shall I?
Oh, I could start us off, sure.
Yeah, go for it.
We have been busy in our lives, but still playing games and still loving it and loving to do the blog. But things kind of backed off a little bit because both of us have these parts of our lives that just kind of ramped up in other areas, and the blog suffered for it. For me, it was, and we wrote a blog post about this also in late September, and so it was also kind of explaining that just the circumstances of our lives that led to the slowdown, but we're back in the thick of things. So in April, I was laid off, along with 6 other people, from group publishing, where I'd been working for 12 years in the youth ministry department, and some in the children's ministry department. So 12 years, long time, and then so they downsized. They've been having a rough couple years, and every year a few more people are gone, and then it was finally my turn. But the good news on that is back in December, I had felt like, and for those of you who aren't into churchy stuff, sorry, the next few minutes are going to be a little bit of churchy stuff.
We'll play some organ music here. That'd be great.
What?
I'll play some organ music behind it. It'd be great.
Yeah. Because that's definitely what I listen to all the time, is organ music.
Well, that's what church people do.
I felt like the work that I was doing there, because I'd been on the children's ministry team for a few years, and I was just kind of disconnected from that. But so I felt like I'm just unfulfilled in what I'm doing. But I thought, okay, I need to know if this is really, if this is just me, if this is, if God's trying to put something in my heart. So I had this retreat day where I said, God, are you releasing me from group? Because, this is changing my heart. And I felt like him telling me, yeah, I'm releasing you from group. And I didn't know what that meant. And he didn't, there was no light from heaven that shone me down to me to tell me exactly what was going to happen.
But
so
the people at group did.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, well, whenever you want to send that rescue boat by, God, I will jump right in there. And it turns out the rescue boat was them just booting me off the ship. But then...
Was you walking the plank?
Yes.
It
felt a little bit like the Titanic. Like, I was booted off the Titanic, and I got in a rescue boat and sailed away. And the Titanic was like, oh. But anyway, I would say that's a terrible analogy, but... I would say that it was a friendly layoff. That sounds weird, but like I'm still friends with people there. I have no animosity for them. I can understand it was a business decision, but at the same time, it was very freeing for me because, like I said, I was unfulfilled. I was super stressed. Like we had these field tests that we would do every couple of months, and I'm not exaggerating, where my blood pressure would spike and I would be freaking out. And I was like, this job might kill me, literally kill me. So when they laid me off, I was like, oh, this is amazing. I don't have any more stress. I mean, other than, not being able to pay bills for a time, but, other than that, no stress. And so it's been a huge, joy for me. And people be like, oh, are you doing okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually fine. Oh, really? And I'm like, no, really, I'm really fine.
No, really, it's okay. This is a good move. Right.
Yeah. And so, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up quickly because I've been talking a lot, but, so it was kind of like, well, what does this opportunity allow now? Because, kind of the world is my oyster. Like, I can reinvent myself, and people would send me editing jobs, and I'd be like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. I think that time in my life is over. And I kept saying, God, what do you want me to do? And I kept feeling like I was supposed to go into full-time youth ministry, which is, kind of weird for me because I've always been happy being the right-hand man for any youth ministry I'm in. And I didn't feel any call to full-time ministry, and now suddenly I am. And so, and the more I would pray about that and think about that and all the aspects of it, like it was just confirmation. And so basically where I am right now is in the midst of looking for a full-time ministry position. And I have a few irons in the fire and a few places that I'm in process with. And it's so kind of strange, but also this is just bringing me joy. The thought of being able to do this with my life now is, it's just great. And I feel like the trajectory of, I've helped in every youth ministry that I've ever been a part of for 20 years. And then the 10 years of youth ministry at Group is kind of, pointing me now toward all this experience. Now we're going to put it into full-time youth ministry. And it's a totally non-traditional route to it, but just so much confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, that is my half of the slowdown for the blog.
Your half of the craziness.
Oh man, it's been a process. And
yeah,
so, trying.
I find the non-traditional route is a good one. It makes it a little harder to get your foot in the door, but your perspective when you approach ministry from a non-traditional viewpoint, in terms of education and training and whatnot, your point of view of ministry and how you approach it will be unique and can really be innovative because of what you've gone through to get where you are. So it's a hard road to go, but I think it'll pay off in the long run for you. So
and they're seeing 100 resumes that look exactly the same. Like they're all these young, mostly guys probably, right out of Bible college, and maybe they're not married, and maybe they don't have kids. And so mine at least looks different, and they go, oh, this isn't like the other ones. And maybe that's still not a right fit for them. But there have been a few people who are like, yours was different. Yours was intriguing to me because of all this experience. And so that's good. Yeah, definitely.
So I guess my year of madness kind of goes back almost to about a year ago now. We stepped away from our last position in ministry. I was the youth and creative arts pastor at a local church, and we stepped away from that and just really felt like we needed a time to rest. And I kept saying rest and reset, and I didn't exactly know what that was going to be. And we kind of got through the holidays and, Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's and all that stuff. And then right around mid-March, early April, we decided, hey, let's just kind of start looking at some houses and this and that. And we weren't even close to having our house ready to be on the market. We lived in the same house for like 13 years and had 2 kids there. And, the amount of stuff, we're just really bad at organizing and decluttering and things like that. So we had this really old house. It was 2,100 square feet with a full attic and a full basement. And we were just packed to the gills, and we just knew we needed a change. And so just out of nowhere, we started looking at houses, and we wanted to be somewhere where we had some land and somewhere where we were closer to family and the things that we do. We drove 20 minutes to do just about anything on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And so we finally found a place that we really, really liked. And we struck a deal with the people who were selling it, because they were doing it by owner. And we said, hey, if we can just make a deal so we can work on selling our house, but you're not going to sell this place to someone else, let's do that. And we came to some terms and figured that out. And then it was on. Every day after work, after the boys were in bed, after, whatever time we had any kind of second, we were decluttering, we were sorting, we were selling, we were throwing away. We lined our curb like 3 times with just stuff. We're like, we don't need it. We don't need it. Like, I don't even know what it was. I don't know what it is. I don't care. I'm not looking. I'm just putting it on the in a trash bag and on the curb. And so that process took a couple months of just hard work on the house, doing little projects to get it sellable. We sold our house in 3 days. I put it online by owner. And in 3 days we had an offer, and then we negotiated that offer, which was amazing. And then we moved. And by the way, the place that we're moving into is a complete renovation project. And so the work has not ceased. We're late getting to this recording because, as you know, we were installing a dishwasher, and it's just been one thing after another, but it's an amazing blessing. We have 2 acres of land. We have an in-ground pool. We have a pool house. It's this amazing property with a ton of potential that if it wasn't a renovation project, we would have never even walked on the property, because it would just be way out of our price range. So we got a great deal on it, and knowing when we walked into it that there's just going to be a ton of work. So we've really kind of flipped our life upside down, and it's been a hard year just in terms of how busy and how all consuming this process has been. But we're really holding on to that long term. When it's all done, when everything's ready, when everything's finished and cleaned and fixed and whatever, it's going to be just an outstanding blessing and something that we can turn around and bless others with. So we've got big plans for it, but it has harmed the blog because I haven't really gamed a whole lot over the summer. And I just, a few weeks ago, my wife and I sat down and we had a few people over just kind of like to hang out and see the new place and whatever. And we're like, oh, we need to see people again. We need to just relax and do things. And so we're trying to schedule more of that and begin to pace ourselves more, because the house is livable. We have a bathroom, we have a kitchen, we have things that we need on a daily basis. So it's okay to take a day off and just do something for the fun of it. So we are getting into that season of this process, and gaming has kind of been a new thing back in my life recently. So here we are.
That's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
So all that to say that those are our reasons kind of for the slowdown, but we're committed back to keeping things up. And so we're trying to hit at least 1 review a week, hopefully 2. We're back communicating with people about interviews. We're trying to do a funny meme on Facebook on Fridays and just kind of ramp things back up. So, Jeremiah's back in the house and so, so while things are still busy, maybe a little less crazy. And then for me, not that things aren't less crazy, but we're just trying to recommit and rejigger things so that we can, still do this, because January to October is terrible to be able to fit in a podcast. That's a bad time. So we want to do more of those and keep up with things, and so that's our commitment, is that we're going to do that. That is it, and we're trying to also be able to maintain the quality that
hopefully you think we have, as a reader, as a listener. We want to be able to continue to give good quality reviews and write quality articles. So, we've put a lot of work and a lot of time and effort over the years into Theology of Games, and we are certainly not ready to see it go by the wayside. So,
right.
We want to continue to do what we do. We enjoy the relationships we have in the community and with our readers and listeners, and we want to continue to grow those. And we're glad for those who have kind of stuck around all these years with us.
Yeah. So now let's move on from that stuff, because now we're moving forward.
We're moving forward.
Getting back to the podcast. So we're going to talk about what we have on the table. Jeremiah, what have you had on the table recently after your drought?
So I kind of went a little crazy there for a while and tried to play as many games as I could. And there's definitely more than the ones I'm going to mention today. But these are some of the ones that are kind of standouts for me. Sheriff of Nottingham. Believe it or not, I had never actually had a chance to play this game. And everybody's like, dude, you haven't played it? I'm like, I don't have a copy. And none of my friends had a copy of it either. And then I went to Origins over the summer, which was the one thing I got to do. I tacked that onto a 5-day work trip that I was on. And I was able to get a hold of a copy there. Arcane Wonders were kind enough to supply me with a copy of that and a few other games that they released. Royals and it's the Asian game. It's like the Duke and chess and stuff. I can't remember the name. It's totally blank. Token. I'm gonna look it up.
Takanoko?
No, it's something like that. I can't get the vowels right.
Oh, is it Onituma?
No.
The 2-player game that's like chess?
It is. Oh, yeah, Onitama. That's the name.
Yeah.
I always want to start it with a T for some reason. I don't know why I do that. Yeah, Onitama. So anyway, they handed me a few games to review, and Sheriff of Nottingham was one of those, which is a great game. I also played Proheis recently, which is, for all intents and purposes, a stripped-down version of Sheriff of Nottingham. You're trying to smuggle things past the Proheis. It takes time during. It's placed in like the Prohibition era. So you have cards that you play down that are trucks, and some of them have legal goods, and some of them have prohibited goods, and so forth. And you're trying to like bribe people into not inspecting them and things like that. So there's a lot of meta game that happens around the table at that. I also played just a few nights ago Mansions of Madness, the second edition, which is really good.
It is really good. It's kind of amazing.
It said, "Oh, you want to play this game? Let me hand your butts to you," because it destroyed us. Oh, we were just a hot mess, but it was a lot of fun. And then I played the new edition of Ra as well, which is a great game. So those are some good. Those are the games that have been on my table. And like I said, there's more, but I just kind of wanted to feature those.
Yeah, Mansions of Madness we played a few weeks ago too, and it's one of those where I'm like, oh, this game is really great. Do I want to dive in here because it's going to get expensive? Because you're going to want everything, and you're going to want to, like, Fantasy Flight has just figured out how to print money, and it's terrible and brilliant at the same time.
Yeah, so, I look at Fantasy Flight's catalog, and alone in Fantasy Flight, there's dozens of games that I'm like, oh, I really want to get into that. I can't afford to get into that. I mean, just the Star Wars licensing that they have, and Mansions of Madness obviously is outstanding, and all of the living card games they've got that are really, really good.
And Descent.
Yeah, right. There's that.
Yeah. Well, on my table, we have been playing Codenames Pictures, which came out about a month or two ago.
Yeah, I did recently play that too, which, I don't know, we'll talk about that later. Keep going.
Oh, okay. It's good. Like, I think I still like the word one better, but maybe because I'm more of a word guy than a picture guy. We have had tons of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think the word one is better. I think it's easier to do the pictures, actually, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's true. We really want to try. We haven't yet. You can combine the two, so like the grid is half pictures and half words, and
okay.
I really want to try that. We just haven't had a chance to do that yet. But I'm still going to get Codename Pictures. Like, I haven't bought it yet, but believe me, I'm gonna. So I'm not. I'm still recommending it. It's just for me, I think the word one's still a little better.
Yeah.
Then we played one that's it's actually a couple years old, but for some reason it just popped up and nobody brought it. It's called Deception Murder in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And have you played this one?
I believe, explain it, because I'm pretty sure I did, but I don't remember if it's the same game that I played or not.
It's a social deduction game where you're investigators trying to figure out who murdered and how they did it and where they did it. And one person is I can't remember the term, the forensic scientist, and they know exactly what happened.
Yes.
But one of the rest of you is a murderer, and so the forensic scientist has to, without just telling you, they have to give these kind of cryptic clues about who it might be and how they did it and everything. And it's like this mashup of all these different social deduction games. And usually when a game is a combination of a bunch of different ones, I'm usually like, I'd just rather play the one, the original. It's almost never good for me to mash up a bunch of things. I'd just rather play the original. But this one, and I'm not saying this is better than any of the other ones, but I thought, this actually is a mashup that I'm really enjoying. And there's lots of second guessing, and is that person doing that because they're the murderer? It's really good. I totally suggest at least trying it. I
did play this. I played this at Origins, actually, with Alan Girding and then a few folks from Shut Up and Sit Down, and I ended up being the murderer, and I won, so I thought the game was awesome. But you're right. It's like, this is a little bit of the Resistance and a little bit of Mafia and a little bit, of sort of these kind of mashups of these these other games, but it really does. It works really well. Yeah.
Had a great time with it. And so, and then the last one that's been on the table is Voyages of Marco Polo, which has been out for a couple of years now too, but was out of print. Like it's a Z-Man game, so they printed like 4 copies, and then it was immediately sold out. And everyone's like, "Why can't I get this game?" And so then Z-Man went back and printed 8 copies. And so I've played now the second edition is out or whatever, second printing. It's by the guys that did Zolkin, which is just a fantastic game.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure this is better than Zolkin, but we've had a lot of fun with it. It's kind of all these different mechanisms where there's point-to-point movement on this road and special powers and using dice in interesting ways. And the special powers are funny because kind of like the Zolkin expansion where so you get this special power and you go, oh my goodness, that is ridiculously overpowered. There's no way that person isn't going to win. And then you look at the other ones and you go, oh, that's true of every one of these special powers. They're almost all of them just amazing and awesome and fun.
Yeah.
And so Voyages of Marco Polo is a really good game and totally recommend it. And I picked up a copy in the trade, even though, like I said, I'm not sure it's better than Zolkin, but I'm still like, this game is fun. I'm having a great time with it. So, so those are what have been on my table.
Yeah, I haven't played Marco Polo yet, but I hear outstanding things about it. So
it's solid for sure.
It's on the long list of games that I want to play.
Fire and ice.
Fire and Ice.
So to explain Fire and Ice, this is a game, like one game that's on fire for us that we've really been enjoying and having a good time with, and one that we played and weren't really thrilled with. It's we left us a little cold. And so, Jeremiah, why don't you start us out with your game that's on fire?
The game that's on fire for me is any game that I can get on the table.
You poor sap.
Anytime that I can get a game night in, I want to play games. No, it's there's a few, and I just kind of wrote on our notes here. I really, really enjoyed Royals. This is one of the ones that I got from Arcane Wonders, and we played it at Origins, and I sat down and I was like, okay, because it was kind of introduced to me as somebody there said, oh, it's kind of like Ticket to Ride, and I was like, well, why do we need a game that's kind of like Ticket to Ride? And I sat down, I played it, and I was like, this is why we need a game that's like Ticket to Ride. It's Ticket to Ride, but it's more of like a land control, an area control concept. You're trying to influence royals, and so there's all the different countries in Europe, and you're trying to, there's kings in them, there's dukes in them, there's marshals in them, there's all this different sort of hierarchy of characters throughout different cities in the regions, and you have to have a certain amount of cards of that color for that region to be able to influence them. But the good thing is that while if you're the first one to influence, say a king in Britain or in Germany, you'll get more points because you'll get points for influencing them first. It's not like Ticket to Ride where if somebody cuts your route off, you're done. You can still go in there and take over that, because there's cards that allow you to basically assassinate somebody or something of that nature, right? And it's just a really interesting concept on that sort of set collecting. You're collecting cards from a deck, and then you're trying to take over these regions. And then after you run through the deck, you see who controls the most influence in all the different regions, and you all score points accordingly. And then you start another season or year. I forget how they break it up, but there's basically 3 rounds, and you score depending on how much you control in each of the 4 different regions. And then at the end, if you control the most kings, you get victory points for that. If you control the most, there's a list of all of the different royals. So there's an in-game scoring that comes into play too. Really, really liked it. It plays super easy. If you've played Ticket to Ride, or if somebody's played it, you could really teach it pretty quickly to somebody. And even if they haven't, it's not super hard. There's not like, well, there's phase 1 of 12 phases on your turn, and then somebody else is going to do those same 12 phases. It's on your turn. If you want to pick up cards, you pick up cards. If you want to play them, you play them. It's that simple. So really fun game. I really recommend it. I think it's one of the bright spots this year for me, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, that's been on my list of things I want to play once somebody in the group gets a copy. So
there you
fun.
go. What about you? What's on fire for you?
On fire. Well, last week I showed up at game night because even in the midst of this, unlike Jeremiah, I have been able to faithfully make my weekly game night. Partly because it's been like just something that keeps me going. I know that sounds weird. Like I love spending time with my family, but like sometimes the family can be craziness. And so like, Tuesday nights are my oasis where I'm just going to get away and then think about things. And so I have been able to maintain that. And so I showed up on Tuesday, and there was a new guy in the group, we have a totally open group, but we just don't get that many visitors. And this guy was like, "Hey, I just moved to town," and you're like, "Oh, I don't know. Is this going to be bad? Is he going to be a weirdo, or is he going to be great?" And he was great. Like, he was totally normal, and yeah, he's going to fit in great. But one of the great things was he had a copy of Terraforming Mars, which is a brand new game. It's already out of print. The first print run is gone, and like tons of buzz on the Geek. It was the number one hotness for a long time. And so I was like, "Oh, okay, I will play that with you, sir. Yes, let's do that." And so we sat down and played it, and I knew I had heard about it, but I really didn't know anything about it, so I didn't know what to expect other than it's hot. And I thought, okay, I'll try it. And like halfway through, we were all like, "This is a really good game."
Nice.
And it is. It's a good game. It's kind of a card drafting. Like, there are over 200 cards in it, and every single one of them is different. And once you do different things in the game, and so you're creating like a tableau, kind of like Race for the Galaxy, but also it's an engine building game, and you're trying to be able to have cards work well with each other and get your engine going to terraform Mars. And so there are kinds of things you can do to get points, and you're going to green up this part of Mars. You're going to put this water tile on there to get points, and you're slowly raising the temperature of Mars. And so there are all these different things where you'll increase the temperature of Mars, or you'll increase the amount of oxygen on Mars. And certain cards only trigger either before the temperature gets so hot or after the temperature gets so hot. And so you'll have these cards where you're like waiting to play them because you have to wait for the planet to get warmer in order to do it. And so it's really thematic, and it's really fun. And there are a couple of things that there's some take that where you'll build up cubes and somebody will play a thing that'll just take some cubes away from you. And it's not terrible, but that drives me crazy in games where it's like, we're going to pick on the guy we think is winning. And, But it's not terrible, and you kind of know, like, there's only one thing that can really be taken away from you. And so you're just kind of like, well, I'm going to get those things, but I'm going to need to spend them because I could get hammered on that later. And so it's really fun. It's from Stronghold Games, and I'm sure they're working on the next printing, but it's getting a lot of hype, and I would say it's worth it. It's long, so that's one thing where I'm like, if we can get the time down, it's probably worth it. But if we can't get the time down, I'm not sure the payout for me is good enough. But still, just a solid game. Yeah.
So do you think the time that it took was because it was new to everybody, or was it just it's a slow game?
Possibly. It's just a slow game. Like, it takes, everyone's trying to build their engine up, and you have these 3 tracks of temperature and oxygen, and I can't remember what the other thing is. But you're kind of, as the planet is getting terraformed, and it takes a while for that to ramp up. Once it does, then it really starts getting going. But it's just kind of this slow, like, when are things going to start moving? But we were still engaged the entire time. It's not like I felt that the game was too long as I was playing it, but it was afterward, it was like, oh man, we played that for a long time. So it's not bad if you feel like you're engaged for the whole 2.5, or it was probably 3 hours that we played, which is a long game. But if you feel like you're engaged the whole time, it wasn't a bad deal. And I feel like it would get better because it was new to all of us, other than the guy who owned it, who had only played solo, and so it was still different for him. So anyway, Terraforming Mars is good.
I feel like, I'm not shy about playing a game that's going to take me 3 hours, but I don't want it to feel like 3 hours. If it's a game that keeps me engaged and there's lots of interaction and, we're making progress and doing this, fine. But if I'm going to sit there and about an hour and 20 minutes in go, is this done yet? And then for the next hour and 40 minutes be asking the same question, that's a different subject altogether. So, cool. So, what about the ice side? What's gone frosty cold for you?
Well, I'm probably going to take some heat, no pun intended, for this, but we also, another new game is Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu that came out, and we were all kind of excited to play it. We all enjoy Pandemic quite a bit, and we thought, okay, this will be a new twist on it, and people are going gaga for it because, it's Cthulhu and everything, we love Cthulhu. And I was like, well, okay, I'm not a big like something has to overcome being Cthulhu in order for me to enjoy it. It's not that I enjoy it because it's Cthulhu. It's like, oh, I enjoy it, and it happens to be Cthulhu. And it's not even that I hate it. It's just like one of those things like zombies that's just overdone where you're like, seriously, people, you really like Cthulhu that much? Oh,
we
okay,
get it.
That's great.
It's public domain.
Right. So everybody can do it super cheap. And, I get it. You're a big fan. Okay. But anyway, so we played it, and so if you don't own any Pandemic games and you really like Cthulhu, then you should totally get this game. It's Pandemic. But if you already have Pandemic, there's no reason to own this game. It's unnecessary. It's just like the Pandemic. It has these little thematic twists, like instead of healing 4 diseases, you're sealing 4 different colored gates, which is exactly the same. The rules are almost identical powers with different names, of course.
Right.
Card mechanism is identical. The curing, everything is identical. It's like, oh, but this one has a few other monsters. Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I saw that was coming out, when I saw it coming out, I wondered. I was like, all right, is this like Monopoly Simplex here? Like, are they just skinning this thing differently? And it sounds like it.
It is.
Yeah.
If it was different enough, like I would be the first to admit, regardless of whether it's Cthulhu or not, like if it had enough differences in it to justify its existence, like that's great. But it really doesn't. It's Pandemic with a new skin on it.
Yeah.
That is, you're just like, oh, really, people? This is pathetic. So, I did not like Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Just get regular Pandemic or Pandemic Legacy or any of the other ones. And like I said, if you really like Cthulhu and you don't have Pandemic, you should get this game because
it'll
Pandemic,
scratch both of those issues.
Game.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my ice. What about you?
So everything, because I don't get to play games. No, I don't know that there's a game right now that I'm like, I could do without that. I've definitely played, in the last few weeks a lot more than I have over the past few months. I did play a game at a friend of mine's house called Jamaica, which is kind of the obligatory pirate race around Jamaica game. Mm-hmm. You got to have that, I guess. It was really simple and it wasn't terrible, but I don't know. He's going to listen to this and think I'm crazy, but he was like, he what did he trade for it too? He traded a game for it that I was like, no, tell me you didn't. And I can't remember it now, but I was like, oh, that was a really good game. And he traded it for Jamaica. And I was like, why would you do that? But anyway, I
heard it was a good family game.
Yeah, I would say it's a good family game. I don't know that it works as a gamer game. There's certainly some strategy to it, and you have to kind of think things through. It's almost like a programming game in a sense, where you're trying to figure out, okay, if I do this, it's going to move me so far, and then I'm going to have to get this and give this up and do that. But I don't know. It just kind of seemed like we walked through it and it wasn't super competitive. Maybe with more players, we only had 3 and I think it goes up to 6. Maybe it'd have been a little better with that, but there's other games out there that I can definitely have more fun with. Like Quicksilver is a racing game that I think blows away Jamaica. So there's really, to me, I'd rather put that on the table instead of Jamaica. But that's me. So, but other than that, I've just enjoyed playing games again. So I haven't been super picky.
Yeah. Beggars cannot be choosers, and you are a beggar right now.
I am definitely a beggar. That is for sure.
That's right. Cool. So that's Fire and Ice for this episode.
And next up, it's
fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Hey, everybody, let's fill in the blank.
Woo! So yeah, we just we come up with some statements and we leave a blank in there, and we take turns filling it in and defending our answers. Maybe or not. Anyway, so let's. I think we might only do 2 of these. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
My brain is not working so much right now. So yeah, let's just start it off here. Fill in the blank number 1. The game that I want to play the most from this summer is... Do you want me to go first?
Sure, go first.
Okay, so this is a Gen Con release, I believe, is Captain Sonar. And
yeah.
I've heard so much about it, and my friends have played it, and they're like, dude, you got to play this game. So it's basically, in a nutshell, you're all part of a crew on a submarine, and everybody has different roles, and one of them is to be the sonar person, and you're trying to like run these missions and do all this stuff as everybody's kind of hunkered in on their one single role. Sounds really, really cool. And I really can't wait to see it.
So I have played it, and I don't know if you want me to tell you how I feel about it.
Probably. The way you feel about it's not going to change.
Okay.
We've disagreed enough on games
it.
That
yeah, that's true.
It's well documented.
You definitely want to play with the full complement, I would say. Like,
okay.
You can play with fewer people, but then you're kind of doing 2 roles, and I think it's one of those games where you want 4 people on each side, and I know that's hard to get, but like,
right.
Try and do that. I enjoyed it, but I felt like there were some roles that were better than others. That's
the one critique I've heard of it, is that everybody wants to be Captain Sonar.
Yeah,
but
there's one especially. I'm trying to think of which one it is. It might be the damage control guy. I can't remember the names, but we all traded around, and so we got a chance to play everything.
Sure.
And we played a few games of it. But yeah, some of the roles are better than others, and so which I guess could be an argument for playing with fewer players, because then you might combine a great role with not great role.
Right.
But it was certainly clever. Like the idea of just going around and trying to find the other ship, and definitely clever. And people that love it. So you may like it, and
yeah.
I totally get that. Like, I understand why people would like it. Just for me, it was kind of like, if I'm playing that role, I really like it, and if I'm playing that role, I'm ready to
not
go
so
back
much.
to the other one.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, yeah.
All right, so fill in the blank. The game that you, sir, want to play the most from the summer is?
I would like to play Seafall, and that is the new legacy game from Rob Daviau. Daviau? I don't know how you pronounce it. It is, so he's the guy that does the legacy games. He started with Risk Legacy, and then he did Pandemic Legacy with Matt Leacock. And Seafall is his first game from his own company. I think it's called Iron Forge Games. But I was an early playtester on this, actually.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, but I think it's very different than what we did, because I was kind of in the second round of it, and it had even changed quite a bit from first to second round. And so,
sure.
A buddy of mine works for Kinko's, and he did so much stuff. He printed out the map for us and all the cards and he did all this work for it.
Nice.
Like, he did it without asking, which is, I appreciate him doing it, but I felt like, oh no, I don't know how much this is going to change. Like, what if it changes a lot in the next round and then all this work is put to waste? But I totally appreciated him doing it. And so we had a lot of fun. It was, you're captains of ships, and you're going around, and there are islands you can explore, and like, you can found them, and here's an island we discovered, and I get to name it, and it's
nice.
Your mom's Stinkistan, and you can name it whatever you want to, just like the legacy games, and you're writing on the board, and so I wasn't able to continue after the second round. Just life kind of got crazy again, and so I don't know how different it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the finished product looks like. I haven't gotten the copy for being a playtester yet. And I've heard, like, just there preliminary reports are out, it's kind of getting mixed reviews, and so I'm a little hesitant, like, oh no, what if this kind of stinks? But I kind of want to find out on my own. And the guy who is new to the group and brought Terraforming Mars, he's like, hey, would you guys be interested in the Seafall campaign? And we're like, yes, we would. New guy, you're working out great.
Everybody loves the new guy.
But yeah, so that's the game I want to play, but I'm also a little afraid. Like, it's not going to be as good because Risk Legacy, Pandemic Legacy is such great games, but
right.
Like, oh no, be good.
Yeah,
so
I have a hard time getting into legacy games just because my gaming schedule is so sporadic and the long list of games that I need to play, for review purposes and blog purposes and whatnot. Yeah. So as cool as I love the concept of legacy games, they're really hard for me to really get a full appreciation of because of just, life and how that works out for me. But that sounds really cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, here's the next question for you, sir.
Yes.
Blank is a game I've revisited lately after a long time away. And so, well, I guess I'll go first this time.
Yeah, cool.
So, I'm going to answer my own question. Hansa Teutonica is a game I've revisited lately after a long time away. I think I played this 3 or 4 years ago. I played it once or twice, and I liked it a lot, and so I ended up trading for a copy, and then it sat on the shelf. Like, I didn't play anybody else's copy. I didn't play my copy. And the other day I was going gaming, and I was like, I think I'll grab Hansa Teutonica. We haven't played that in a while. And so somebody saw it, and we played it. We actually played with one of the expansion maps, which is better, I think, than the original map. It's nice. The East expansion. But anyway, I don't know if have you played Hansa Teutonica?
I have not.
It is the Euro-iest Euro you can possibly imagine. It's so much like just, what is the word I'm looking for? Like all the seemingly disconnected little things that you do, like, I'm going to travel over here, and you need to get keys to do this, and then you're going to do that thing to get points over here, and it's all connected, and it's just doing things for points. It's very early, but it is so good, and I forgot how good it was until we were halfway through the game. I'm just like, why don't we play this game more often? It's so good, and I feel like it somewhat flew under the radar, and it's been reprinted recently, and the expansions have too, and so it's totally worth checking out. If you like straight up Euro games that are basically mechanics with some weird theme pasted onto them, this is a game for you because Hansa Teutonica is super solid.
That's cool. That sounds like fun. So I've got kind of two answers for this. One's kind of a cheat answer. One is the Lord of the Rings, the card game. Not that I've revisited it, but it's probably the game that I miss playing the most. It's been at least a year since I've sat down to play this game. And I have no idea what box it's packed in right now. By the way, we're still like 90% in boxes here. So, there's that. So that's one that I want to revisit very soon. But then I guess, and I haven't played it lately, but back in like April, I guess April or March, my wife and I played a lot of Dominion over a span of a few weeks, and I hadn't played that in forever. And I just forgot like how good and solid that is. It's the original deck builder. It's great. So that's one game that I haven't played in a long time. That and Sarah had never played it, so it was great to teach her that, and she really enjoyed it. So we ended up playing quite a bit of it. So I'm glad that I've kind of opened deck building up for her, and that'll lead into some other deck builders that are also a lot of fun too. So I guess I'll go with that. And
and they just announced a second edition of that, or I think it's the second edition. Like basically, they're going to kind of reboot
Okay.
Dominion.
Nice.
They're changing some of the cards. They're changing some of the names on the cards, even though the mechanics of them will be the same. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but yeah. So that money train keeps it chugging along.
That's right. Gotta make it. Gotta make it last, I guess. When you run out of ideas for expansions, just reboot it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a solid deck builder. You know, there's not much lacking in it for sure. All right, so
that is fill in the blank.
Does that bring up the lightning round?
Yeah, that means we're coming to a close here, but we're going to end up the way we do on interviews on the blog. When we interview somebody, we like to do this fun lightning round that's just like, give us a quick answer to your to this quick question. Even though when we do this on the podcast, it never ends up being quick because we're like, here's my answer and here's why.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're really bad at lightning rounds on the podcast, even though we make the people that do interviews on the blog adhere to our ridiculously stringent rules.
Yeah, but it's our blog, so we can do whatever we want.
That's right. Talk is cheap. We can talk as much as we want. All right, so question number 1. Favorite X-Men character? Colossus. Yeah?
I'm not even sure why. I've just always liked him.
Yeah? Mine is Longshot, because...
Oh, that's an interesting one.
I think his power is the most intangible, but super beneficial. Like, how awesome would it be to have ridiculously good luck? Oh, hey, I'm short $400 on my rent this week. Hey, look, I just found $400. Like, right?
Yeah, that's better than being able to pick up a building, for sure.
It's like the old saying, you know, it's better to be lucky than good. So,
yeah, that's true.
So there you go.
Cool.
All right.
Well, favorite burger joint.
That was really short. That was really short.
I would purposely, we can talk more about it. I'm anticipating talking more about other things.
Okay.
So I was like, well, let's keep this one short. But you can talk more about Longshot if you want.
No, that's okay.
Okay. What's your favorite burger joint?
My favorite burger joint, you probably don't know about this place. I believe there's only 2 still in existence, and I'm getting hungry right now, so I might actually go there today. Anyway, it's called Hamburger Station. Think like burger wise, think like maybe a step above. It's going to make it sound really terrible, but like White Castle, like it's those smaller burgers, kind of like slider size.
Okay, yeah.
But it's only mustard, onion, pickle, and they sell fresh cut fries. So it's like carnival fare fries. It is so good. I'll eat like 4 hamburgers and a big old pile of fries. It's very similar to like Five Guys fries.
Yeah.
But the burgers are definitely more like greasy spoon burgers. But just it's my favorite place to go for burgers. There's other really good hamburger places around here, like Swenson's and Skyway, which is Skyway's where Jimmy Buffett goes. That's like one of his top 5 cheeseburger places. But Hamburger Station holds a special place in my heart.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, if I'm ever out there, I'm going to try that place. You
should. You should come out here and you should try Hamburger Station.
I know. I should.
What about you? Right. Favorite burger joint?
It's Five Guys. We got them a few years ago here in Colorado, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. It's so good.
Solid choice.
I had never been to In-N-Out. I know that that's kind of a classic answer for everybody, but until this summer, I had never been to In-N-Out, and we went down to Texas, and I tried it, and then it'd been super hyped, so maybe that was part of it. Like, I thought it was a solid burger, but I was still like, I still think Five Guys is better.
Yeah. There's a few places like that. Do you guys have the Rail? Do you have those around?
No, I don't think so.
It's a solid burger. It's good, but there's just something about some of these other places that I'm like, I think I'd rather have their burger, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, I guess. Like we have B Spots around here, which is Michael Simon. He's like one of the Iron Chef guys or whatever. And it's like gourmet burgers, right? And they're good, but I don't know that I need a gourmet burger. Like, I don't eat a burger because I want like a gourmet dining experience. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like,
yeah. It's a burger.
Right. It's a burger. I want it to be meaty and tasty and not maybe that good for me.
Right. And not $15.
Yeah, exactly. I want my whole meal to be less than that. So
right.
There's that. All right. Next lightning round question is, what is the last Netflix series that you finished?
That would be Stranger Things.
Oh, I was going to say, let's say it at the same time. Ready?
Oh, okay.
One, two, three. Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Yeah, that was the talk of the summer, and with good reason.
It was. A little on the horror side for me. Like, I'm not a big horror fan, but there was enough of like that weird science fiction-y kind of side to it as well, and like super geek side to it that I really enjoyed. But yeah, just really well done. I thought they pulled off the setting really well. The one thing, I never went back and like researched this or whatever, but I feel like some of the songs they used in the soundtrack wouldn't have come out until later. Yes,
but it didn't seem much off, but you're like, I think that's kind of pretty close. Like, that guy is a big fan of, like, his brother's a fan of some band, and I was like, I don't think he would know about them yet.
Yeah. So a little bit of continuity things like that I kind of scratched my head at, but it's a TV show. Who cares? Like, and it was a good one.
Yeah.
You know,
it was definitely creepier than me. Like, I thought it was going to be the same thing, kind of like Close Encounters of the Third Kind or Goonies or something like. But my wife and I are sitting there watching it, going, "This is creepy."
Yeah, definitely high creep factor. So
yeah, but I enjoyed the heck out of it, and we just kind of blasted through it in as short a time as we could because we were enjoying it so much. And I thought the actors were fantastic, and it was and just so
really
good.
Really cool twists and turns along the way. Nothing that was like jarring and totally disoriented you as a viewer, but very very interesting plot points that wanted you to keep watching. You kind of pulled you into that next episode. So yeah. And
the bad thing about these Netflix shows is, like, you watch it in a week's time, and then you're like, oh, we have to wait an entire year for this thing to roll back around.
Yeah. That's like sad, I'm in the middle of Luke Cage right now, and
how is that?
It's very good. If you liked like Daredevil or Jessica Jones,
I did.
It's right in that same vein. It might be better than Jessica Jones. Daredevil I really liked. I don't know. It's right in there. It's definitely worth watching. But now they're advertising Iron Fist, but it's not till like May or something like that. I'm like, why are you doing this to me?
I know. It's just cruel.
It is very cruel.
But Netflix is turning into quite the little production company, aren't they?
They are. They're producing some good stuff. I wish that Fury of Maul Star Wars series wasn't a joke. There was.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, there was somebody was posting links a while ago that it was this Fury of Maul. It was like this Darth Maul series on Netflix, but it was like an April Fool's thing. Like,
yeah, but you know what happens with those? Somebody creates that, and it becomes so popular
and
that
it sparks interest.
There's an audience for it. Yeah,
yeah.
So then
exactly.
they make it. So hey, go you.
Keep going. Let's keep passing that thing around.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Last question, and then we'll wrap this up. Favorite fall activity? Mine is I really like getting dressed up in creepy clown. Never mind. Not creepy clown. I enjoy going to the pumpkin patch with the family, and there's like a corn maze, and pick out pumpkins and weird strains of corn that are multicolored, and you bring them home, and then they rot on your porch. But yeah, we like doing that, and I love fall, like the time of year, the colors, the mostly the weather, and all those things about it. It's just great.
It is definitely my favorite time of year. It is, well, my birthday's in the fall, so that's always awesome. But I would agree with you. We go to a place called Maze Valley. It's a farm, and there's a winery there, and they grow corn, obviously, because maize, but so they have the corn maze. You can do a hay ride out to the pumpkin patch, and like you actually pick your pumpkin out of the patch, like off of the vine.
Nice.
But the coolest thing about it is on a few weekends in October, they have Megasaurus, and Megasaurus is a giant car-eating, fire-breathing dinosaur robot. And so, like,
was this on an episode of The Simpsons?
You would think it was, but it's real life. And so you go out there, and they've just got this little area roped off and a couple of cars sitting there, and out comes this thing. It used to be like a tank, I guess, that this guy built into this transformer. So it like opens up, and this dinosaur like emerges from it, breathing fire. It's pretty outstanding. So you get the down home fun of going to the pumpkin patch, but then also like yelling and screaming as this dinosaur like literally bites cars in half, like into two pieces. Okay. It's really sweet. So it's a lot of fun. You should look it up. Megasaurus. Yeah, episode 12. We're donezo with it. So what's next? What are we gonna do this again?
Soon, which is super vague, but nevertheless possible in the near to distant, perhaps future.
Sometime in maybe November here, in the next couple weeks, we'll put one together and make it happen.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Sounds good. We appreciate you guys listening and sticking with us, and hop back on the blog and check out new reviews and interviews and all those fun things. And then on Facebook, check out our fun memes on Fridays.
Yeah. Hit us up on all those places: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Yeah, the machine is being oiled up and serviced and ready to roll out here. So we really hope that you guys will continue to listen and read and watch and whatever else. And thanks for joining us again after, I don't know, how many, like 9 months, right? Yeah. So that's that. Anyway, but let's put a wrap on it. Thanks so much for joining us again. I'm Jeremiah Isley, and
I'm Scott Firestone, and we're Theology of Games. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Theology of Games podcast with Jeremiah Isley and Scott Firestone. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd appreciate your subscription to the podcast and your review on iTunes. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day, and until next time, get a game on the table.
You sound a little telephony.